You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 5th show, and again, our first show in the new year for 2019. It is a great day to talk about money, and that's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, and have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but to connect with the guests that we have on the show today, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, Kenady Swan with Windermere Real Estate Social Media Manager. 5 data-backed social media marketing trends you need to know about 2019. Kenady, thank you so much for coming into studio. First time, very excited to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much for having me, and a happy new year to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And a little bit about Kenady. Kenady is an expert on social media who spent the past 8 years developing and strategizing social media game plans to help driven professionals, entrepreneurs, and companies of many sizes and backgrounds stand out as thought leaders in their field. As Windermere social media manager, Kenady is responsible for developing, managing, and executing a comprehensive social media strategy for Windermere Real Estate, as well as other sub-brand with Windermere, such as W Collection Luxury Market Program.
Kenady, super excited to have you here again, and I want to get kind of what were the highlights of 2018 since we creeped into the new year here.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised we creeped into the new year already. There were so many things in 2018, Mark Zuckerberg testifying in court. There were...
That is a social media thing.
That is a very big social media thing. There were a lot of rise in story content. We had a lot of amazing brand campaigns that happened, just so many great things. And we're going to see probably a lot of change coming into the new year as well. So I'm really excited to kick off this episode of the Money Hour, the very first. How exciting.
I know. You are. That's right.
I
It's
know.
very exciting, too, because you are the
honored.
first one.
I know.
And the entire show. That's a big honor in itself.
Yeah, no pressure. Big honor. I'm excited.
So, hey, before we dive too deep into the show here, let's set some groundwork. What type of audience are we looking at for 2019, Kenady?
Yeah, so the audience we're looking for 2019, it's a very, very engaged audience now. So we're looking at an audience who really wants to feel like they're a part of, what's going on, and they want to feel that they are having a true relationship to you. It's not just, a facade or a brand standard that you're putting out there, that really you're making those deep, deep connections. So that's really important moving into the new year, and we're going to see that growing and transitioning into all of the softwares and programs that are coming out as well.
It's crazy how the social media just grows. Like it's the technology and such. It's like a moving target for us. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned the ephemeral content, if I said that right. Ephemeral?
Ephemeral.
Ephemeral.
I can't say it very well either.
Yeah.
I'm like, ephemeral. Everybody's like, you always put a B in it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I try.
It's one of those words.
It says something.
Yeah. Can you explain what that is a little further?
Yeah,
and
how to pronounce it.
And how to pronounce it. Well,
Yeah.
you may want to Google how to pronounce it, because clearly I can't.
Me neither.
It's ephemeral. Ephemeral?
We did
call
Google it this morning,
See,
and it was hard.
Do you hear me? I'm putting a B in it. Anyway, so Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook stories have all led to popularity with ephemeral content. Look, there I say it right.
Yeah.
So most ephemeral content is shared in 24 hours. So stories, they disappear after 24 hours. So that's the same type of concept, right? So it's quick content that then goes away. It allows you to be a lot more authentic because, it is things like those live feeds or live stories, like what we do here as well. So
what
it's
we're doing right now.
Exactly what we're doing right now. So it's high quality content, right? But at the same time, it's more true to you and more true to your nature. It's really fast action as well. So there's a lot people can gain from it because they get a little bit of a more realistic impression as to what's going on.
Yeah, love that. So what's going to be the primary way we as marketers and business owners can share content so people can see it?
Yeah, so one of the key trends that we're predicting is stories, right? So it's becoming the primary way to share content, and that's going to continue to grow, and it's going to overtake the news feed. So your news feed, when you're looking at Instagram or Facebook, something you're scrolling through, you're going to notice that the stories that appear at the top of the feeds really are the primary way marketers and business owners are going to take over that content. So what that means is we're going to, as marketers and business owners and people in the field who are trying to reach a bigger audience, we're going to really want to be aware of how people are consuming content and what way that looks like and what way, our audience is willing to accept that content as well, because that's the whole point.
Yeah, and so the story thing is actually, I haven't looked into it, and it's confused me a little bit when I see it because I haven't really dug into it. And since I have you here, so when you see something come over and it says part of the story, or what are they exactly doing?
Yeah, so on Facebook
it's
and
not a
Instagram,
video,
well,
or sometimes
it can be a
is.
video, and it could be a photo too. So Facebook and Instagram, it looks a little different, but it's usually a circle with a color around it, and it appears at the top of your feed. So what that means is obviously it was something that was live and had to be taken on their phone or computer, and it had to be something that was, not from their camera roll. So that's the first big thing.
Oh, are they choosing it to be part of the story, or it's automatically doing that because it was live?
So you have to make it a part of the story. It has to be a conscious choice. But the thing is, once after 24 hours goes by, it disappears from your feed. So it's not something that's going to stay in your posts on either your page on Facebook or your feed on Instagram. So the big thing about that is it doesn't disrupt.
So it's kind of working like Snapchat did.
Kind of, exactly. That's a great example. Yeah. So it doesn't disrupt your feed, so it won't disrupt your flow, and you can still kind of give that insight as well to what's going on behind the scenes, if you will.
Got it.
Yeah.
Kenady, let's talk about meaningful connections. Is that something that will continue to decrease as well, or?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So meaningful connections are not going to decrease, or at least that's the hope, right? They're going to hopefully increase, and that's what we're going to see a lot of people and marketers and businesses embracing. The whole thing I was talking about earlier that we were kind of chatting about was authentic in the moment style connections. And that's so important, especially with, millennials and Generation Zers. The big thing with them is they know, right?
Yes.
That's who, kind of had the back with all the social things and tools in the beginning. So of course they know if something's, not getting posted live. If a photo is edited heavily on Photoshop, they know, they see, oh look, that arm looks longer than the other, So they're really on top of it as far as things like that goes. So I think that marketers are going to have to be more authentic, and businesses are going to have to really show who they are in order to keep markets of all generations and ages. So.
For our listeners, what is a meaningful connection? I mean, what do you consider?
Yeah, I think showing who you are, right? So not having that perfectly Photoshop photo and that super, amazing quality, that copy or that writing that you put in your posts, that's just perfectly edited and doesn't sound like you at all, sounds like, a robot almost, and you just don't know who that person is. I think that's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do.
So when I shared in Money Chat, I'm talking about the Facebook Live that I'm going to be doing with the industry leaders in the real estate space over the next year, really helping all real estate agents in our local market get to that next level in their business. And I do a Facebook Live myself in part of my coaching program, but it's separate. So is Facebook Live, is that still something that is a place to engage and do those, or is there a better platform? If you're really putting together something that you're doing on a consistent basis, whether it's through a coaching program or showcasing someone's business, is that the best place to do it?
Yeah, I think it's a really important aspect. I think live in general is going to become a bigger and bigger thing moving forward. I think it's really important to add into your strategy if you're not already doing it. And it's one of those things that, and we've talked about this before, Tina, where there's never a great time to start, right? If you're like, oh, I'll start next month, I'll start the next, you're never going to do it.
Yes.
So the biggest thing is, like, to answer your question, yes, I think live is a really important part of your strategy. And we have, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, hopefully, things like AI and those advancements and how that's going to play a part as well. But, I think that, live is really important. It's going to become even more important moving forward.
Okay.
Well, Kenady, you mentioned a piece, so it sounds like there's many different ways in which you can go about it, and it sounds like just experimenting. Is that the idea, and just trying to throw out different things and see what's connecting, or what is the idea there?
Yeah, I think, experimenting is so important now, and it's going to be posting your content and seeing what kind of takes, right? So, and then you can boost those contents or push ads out for original content like that, right? So, for example, if you have in the moment super raw content, there's millions and millions untapped potential in content. Everybody's posting daily, hourly, every minute. So making sure that you're seeing what's trending and what's organic for you, and then boosting and posting ads for that content is going to be how you increase your engagement.
That's interesting, because a lot of times you just post stuff and you don't really think about the engagement or anything. You don't think about the other side of it, and you're saying pay attention to what's working, experiment, see who's viewing, how many views you're getting, and really paying attention to how it's being received.
I think the other thing as far as seeing what your views are and things like that go is, if you don't have a business page, get a business page. It's such a big deal because you're able to see insights, and you can do it for Facebook and Instagram, for Twitter. Having a business page is so important if you want to be able to see your numbers and see what's trending and see what your average market is, and your gender ratio, age ratio. You can see all of that with a business page that you can't do with a personal, and you can't even do an ad with a personal page. So, and there's pros and cons to ads, but I think it is really important to be able to see those insights.
So, Kenny, for those that don't know, we talked about briefly, haven't described it, but talk about and break down what an AI and social media is, and digital marketing. Yeah.
So AI in general is going to be a really big deal coming into 2019. Okay. It's all about personalized experiences. So AI generally refers to machines or computers that can draw conclusions. So basically, you can solve problems, take actions based on analyzing options and reasoning without the need to hard code instructions into the programming. So it can kind of have a conversation with you. It's artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So there are algorithms and programs in place to allow it to be a little bit more personal, which is kind of what we're talking about here. So it analyzes your patterns and behaviors. For example, Netflix, it can, populate what you're watching, and then give you picks based on that. So there's all these ways to personalize, but that's what AI is, to kind of answer that question.
It's kind of scary.
It's kind of exciting. We're getting to that next. Well, imagine, just think about if we didn't have computers, if we didn't have, Google, if we didn't have navigation,
I'd be lost if we didn't have navigation.
I know, me too. It'd be terrible. So we're just taking that next advancement.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's all a little scary, but we're moving in the direction of a digital age, and we already are in one, and I think. To kind of hit on that point, it's scary. And that's why I think 2018 was such a big year for privacy. Privacy was such a big deal. And so moving into 2019, people and businesses and companies are really respectful of that. And, because if not, they're going to go into some serious hot water, right?
Yeah.
So I think even though it is scary, and even though, you are being tracked in a way, right? Yeah. And Siri may be listening to us right now if you have your phones out, even if it's not on, and all of that. But at the same time, the benefits that come with all these tools, take it for a grain of salt, I think. So.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theorists are freaking out right now.
I know. Maybe they shouldn't be listening. It's not going to get better.
So, Kenady, real quick before we go to break,
sure.
where are we going to see some more of this AI?
Yeah, so we're going to see it in chatbots and ad optimization. Platforms like Google and Facebook have been continuing to adopt artificial intelligence. So we're going to see enhanced customer interaction there, but it remains a huge opportunity for brands and businesses alike. 2018, like I was talking about, was an AI communication was really undeniable. So there are many tools like Intercom and Drift. We're starting to appear on websites everywhere. The little chatbots that kind of pop up at the bottom of your screen and go, hey, can I help you? So, mainly experts are predicting by 2020, more than 80% of all customers' service interactions will be powered by AI bots.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's a big number.
Big number.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, coming up next on the Money Hour, we're going to stay right here because we have so much more information to go over with Kenady, 5 data-backed social media marketing trends that you need to know for 2019. It's Kenady Swan, Windermere, real estate social manager, right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 5th show. We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio, still, for the remainder of the show, we have Kenady Swan, Windermere Real Estate Social Media Manager. 5 data-backed social media marketing trends that you need to know for 2019.
So when we went to Brent Kenady, we were talking about how scary AI is, and you reassured us it's the way
I
of
was
the
saying
future.
how exciting it was.
It's
you were saying
exciting.
it was scary.
I watched this documentary,
It can be both.
and it scared me.
Don't tell them what it's called.
Yeah.
We don't need to go that far.
Yeah, I'll leave it out. I'll just leave it out.
Don't worry about it.
It's all
Nothing.
good.
Nothing. What? No.
Yeah.
It's actually, like we were talking about, it doesn't have to be that scary. It's moving us in a good direction. And of course, I know that my job makes me have to say, "Oh no, it's great." No, but I'm totally joking. It's a good thing,
Yeah.
There are a lot of pros to it. The fact that we're being able to connect with people around the world at any time or hour, that's so neat. And the fact that we can get a package the next day all the way from China or whatever it is, that's really cool. So being able to play into those things and like we were talking about earlier, in 2018. Privacy was such a big deal. So moving forward, that's going to become an even bigger deal moving into 2019. So I think it doesn't have to be scary because people are being more respectful now than they ever have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. The truth is I don't really care. Like, I really don't. Like, I have nothing to hide. And if it makes my life easier, I'm all about it. Like, yeah I'll put it out there. It is what it is. We host and coast a radio show, for gosh sakes. So well, we're out there.
For sure. I mean, what I always think is if you're not willing to have it put up on a billboard, then you probably shouldn't say it or do it, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too in industry and a lot of industries, they're afraid of it taking over what they do. And I think that's the biggest concern that people have is, well, gosh, are they going to need me anymore? But if you use just in real estate alone, I mean, imagine back to, it was much later than you because you were so young, but I was there. I've been doing this for almost 25 years now. And when they had, they had the big books and consumers could not get access to what was listed on the market without that big book that was being provided by the real estate agent. And as soon as the internet came in, my agent partners were just freaking out because, so I kind of feel that this is kind of what it is again. It's that same thing, but totally different. But and real estate's not the only space. I mean, people in the mortgage industry are concerned about it as well. I mean, it's, but
They can't replace us, Tina. That's
God,
impossible.
They
There's
definitely cannot.
There's no computer
No.
that can replace us.
But that's actually
Exactly.
kind of true. People still
Yes.
want those connections, those in-person, face-to-face connections, and that's never going to be something that isn't there.
Yeah.
So that's why, moving into 2019, it's such a big deal to be able to establish those authentic connections, whether it's,
Yes.
over social media or in person. You know, if you don't have those, then what's the point?
Exactly.
Right? So
Well, if you look at retail, I mean, retail is going to be there. Was there a huge impact on it? Yes, there
Sure.
was, and there was a lot of people that didn't survive. But the
Yeah.
best of the best, and just like what you said, when you're out there doing things different, you're connecting and building those relationships. There's always going to be a need for the personal contact.
Exactly. Like I want to go into a clothing store. Retail is a great example, and I love touching
Yes,
things.
I
Like I
do
want to see how
too.
it feels.
Yeah.
I want to have that in-person connection as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be over, and our depression rates up because of
Yeah.
it as well. So, being able to have those in-person connections
Well,
is
Victoria
really
just had to
important.
send a huge big box of clothes that I ordered online, and I thought I got a
no.
new box, and I went to open it up, and she actually had just repackaged to send it back. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's okay. We just more work for Victoria. She doesn't
Exactly.
mind. Oh, no.
Well, Kenady, it sounds like the younger generation is leading the charge on all this social media stuff. I know my parents are freaked out. My dad texts me on Facebook thinking
Oh,
it's like
no.
I bless his heart. But
Yeah.
it's confusing for the older generation,
It is. I mean, so millennials are the quickest and fastest adapters as far as things like for AI chatbots go. But that doesn't mean that all generations aren't catching up, And the thing is, too, there's different levels and everybody doesn't have to be on the same level. I work with real estate agents who are like, I'm close to retirement and I'm fine with just having a Facebook page and being able to keep those connections. I don't need an Instagram. It depends on what people want and need, and it's not necessary to have everything. You don't need to do everything because you're probably not going to do it very well. So, being aware of what you can handle and what you like and where your audience is so, so important. According to the Huffington Post, 60% of the millennial population already uses chatbots, and 71% of millennials have implied that they will be trying them in the near future. So that's millennials, right? But that's not everyone.
Yes.
And that doesn't need to be everyone is the other thing, I think that mobile usage is going to obviously continue to span upwards, and people are going to continue to get a shorter and shorter attention span. I believe a human's attention span. How long do you think a goldfish's attention span is? This is fun.
Oh, I've heard this
This is
before.
super
which
You
fun.
answer
freaked
it,
me out.
Keelan.
This is super fun.
I think it's
Wait.
5 seconds sounds too long, but I swear it's a 5.
Up a little bit.
Is it?
5
Yeah.
minutes?
It's 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
How long do you think a human's is?
5 seconds.
7.
Darn it.
No way.
Yeah. So
Oh my God, we're less than a goldfish.
we're less than a goldfish.
Dang.
So that's just, no
sad.
offense to anyone, but it's true, and it's
Wow.
going to span where our attention span's getting shorter and shorter. Things
Yeah.
like stories, we're just clicking through, swiping. There's, all those matching accounts and things like that, right? For dating profiles. People
Yeah.
just swipe and they're just the shortest attention spans now. So,
Yeah.
being aware of that is so important. But again, that all stems back to why personal connections are so important, because I
Yes.
can't go, wait, what? Every 7 seconds, right? Like I actually have to try to listen to you and make eye contact and have a conversation. So, it's still important. I'm not saying it's getting worse because it is, but, it's still important.
I like how you kind of whispered the beginning part of that. Thanks for trying to make us feel better.
I mean, you followed me all the way through that, so that means it's not that bad yet, right? So we're okay.
Exactly. So, Kenny, let's talk about WhatsApp for a second, because I think with marketing for marketers forget that they have over 1 billion users.
Yeah, and that's a really
billion.
big number, a
Big.
billion users. So it's a pretty insane number when you think about it. And in 2019, we're going to see a rise of WhatsApp as a primary social service
Victoria, make note
channel.
of WhatsApp.
WhatsApp,
I'm just telling you,
FYI.
make a note of WhatsApp.
So the release of WhatsApp, because it's just basically they released a new API in August of 2018. And it's a total game changer. And basically what it does is it allows businesses to respond to people that their customers and consumers that they're interacting with, but it gives them a window.
So let me ask you this, Kenady, a little bit off topic.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think it's a appropriate place to bring it in because I've always been a high touch and face to face, and I do group face to face, so I'm really efficient with how I do face to face.
Sure.
Meeting with one-on-one is really challenging, but I do a lot of group things. I pick up the phone and I call personally for events. You've seen the social media stuff that we do for all of our events. All of that's there. But I pick up the phone and make a call. And I can't remember the last time that I've ever generated. I work within what I call my own circle. And I can't remember the last time I've just randomly had somebody call in. When as somebody calls in, I ask who introduced them to them. It's always somebody within my circle that I work with.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit my question to you, and a long explanation behind it, because listeners that are listening there's other people out there like me.
Yeah.
Is, I've always felt for myself, I am not excited about marketing to people that don't know and trust me because they've been introduced to me by somebody else. So do you feel that is always going to be there? Because I don't have time for somebody that just calls up, hey, I'm just calling to see what your interest rate is. I'm not excited about going out there and getting mass people calling in from platforms of social media. I want to work within my circle. So do you think that opportunity is still going to be there at that level or not?
Sure. I mean, I think there's two ways to look at that, right? So there's you may be missing an audience in a market by only being willing to work in your circle.
Yeah.
But also, you're establishing those deep relationships.
Yes.
So I think what's important there is, even when you're on social, keeping, your tone, your voice, how you talk to people the same, that establishes trust. Posting at the same times every day, same days of the week, that establishes trust. So even though you're saying, I don't really feel like I want to work outside of my circle. Well, then they may not, find you if that's not the route you're going either. They may know of you,
sure,
but they may not be drawn to you if they know you have this group in this circle. They may think, okay, well, I'm good. I'm going to find somebody who's, quicker and just wants to get a deal done. Or they might think, hey, I want to be a part of that circle. So that's the other thing that you might be able to
And that's what
generate.
I'm hoping is everything that I'm doing is people are getting invited in. They're coming in to listen and so I'm building that and they become a part of that circle instead of just this mass marketing and just reach out to somebody and they,
Which is, so important. And I think on that side of things, looking at the fact that you're creating a community that people want to be a part of. And that's what social is so good at, and it's so important for. The community you can create through these social channels, it's a tool for you, So being able to use these channels is going to then allow you to build your community and make it a bigger group.
Love that.
I think there's
Makes
to answer
sense.
that question.
Yeah.
Kenady, you have me curious about the WhatsApp. I found out what it was because I play soccer on Thursdays, and my whole team's on this WhatsApp, and then I join. And then all of a sudden, if I don't watch it for like 2 hours, there's like 40 of them. And I have to like scroll all the way to the top and figure out what they're talking about. And so that was my introduction. So I'm curious to know like how that plays a part in the business world and, and what that means to consumers. Like tell us about WhatsApp a little bit.
Yeah. So, that's a really good question. So WhatsApp allows businesses to respond to customers and clients within 24 hours for free. So kind of two parts to this, right? So that means businesses are incentivized to reply quickly. And then the focus is then put on improving customer experience, right? So WhatsApp is really, really neat because you're allowed to talk and communicate, right, for free. But maybe it's your friends and family that you really want to talk with. Then you're not going to be spammed, and your feed's not going to be filled up with a lot of, marketers that you're not really interested in, right? Because they do have that window, which is kind of really cool. As far as a social platform goes, for engagement and communication, you're not getting basically text messages repeatedly if you're using it, which is nice. To Does that kind of
did I
totally answer
yeah.
that?
It seems like a virtual, clean way to chat and not have all the extras.
Seems like the same thing as, I would assume customers and consumers, they always want to have a type of personalization and a high level of communication and service, and to get responded to within 24 hours at least.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as what we should already be doing, but just taking it to a social platform.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Personalization in this day and age, given the vast amount of information being uploaded by people each day, it becomes really, really easy to get lost in the fact that it is all about the consumer and the customer, right? So this has really opened a door for enhanced personalization that's increased the customer expectation, and now they're expecting the same, right? They're expecting this high level response rate, high level engagement rate, that what they're looking for, their name, all of that. So
yeah. Got it. All right. So coming up next on the Money Hour, we're going to stay here for the rest of the show with our guests. We're talking on 8 data-backed social media marketing trends that you need to know for 2019. We're here with Kenady Swan, Windermere Real Estate Social Media Manager, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 5th show. We bring in studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding your money. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And still in studio, wrapping up with Kenady Swan, Windermere Real Estate Social Media Manager, 5 data-backed social media marketing trends that you need to know for 2019.
So, Kenady, when we left break, we got off track a little bit as we do and have fun in the studio. But we were talking about WhatsApp. And so it sounds like you were talking about personalization with customers and consumers and what we should expect going forward with that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Yeah.
So as we were talking about before the break, we've increased this expectation. Customers' expectations have been increased by being able to be responded to within 24 hours, if not 2. We're going to notice content, products, emails, and ads can all be based on customer purchase history, clicked links, social media posts, and other behaviors. All of that can be personalized. So, for example, Airbnb now sends personalized trip activity and ideas based on your upcoming trip to, Thailand. It'll tell you where to go and what you should be doing. Super neat. And like we were talking about earlier, Netflix will completely customize your profile.
Love it.
So all of that is really, really unique personalization built on algorithms. As a business, you have to figure out what personalization looks like for you. So whether that's picking up the phone and calling, or making sure you send personalized emails or WhatsApps or whatever it is to each person, all of that is really important going into 2019, but still being respectful of people's privacy and not bombarding their feeds, which is a big lesson we learned in the past year.
So, Kenady, speaking of the solid strategies, let's get into our third trend for 2019.
Sure.
And it's the brands can no longer afford to ignore ads.
Yeah.
What is that? What do you mean?
Yeah. So we're already seeing a ton of businesses jump on board with social media ads. So marketers have increased their social ad budget 32% in 2018 alone.
Wow.
So we're going to see that grow even further, obviously, this coming year. So that's more ads than ever produced before in our history.
Yeah.
So the fact that Facebook pages now use advertising as a part of their strategy, and out of every 4 Facebook pages, they use that strategy as well. So every 4 Facebook pages are using paid advertising. And Facebook accounts account for 23% of U.S. digital ad spending. So that's a really big number when you think about it.
Yeah.
So all of those numbers are obviously going to increase going into the new year as well.
So, Kenady, that's obviously things, the trend is it's just going to get more expensive, more competitive. So what can we do to counter that?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So to counter this, marketers and businesses should be sure that they're really pairing their ad money with equal time and investment and creativity. So like what we were talking about earlier was the fact that, just because you post doesn't mean you should just post a post, right? You should see what's performing well. So you're not going to just create any old ad and have it work. You have to really invest time in creating great content. It doesn't have to be super, super high quality, but it has to be well done and thought through and framed reasonably well, right? As far as your ratio in your photo goes. I don't want a lopsided, blurry, low-res photo.
Yeah.
So those are all things that you have to, think about moving forward. So one of the easiest ways to do this is boosting your top organic content. So that's going to be one of the biggest ways to stand out is boosting that type of content.
Got it. So with that said, what are ads that are really thriving right now?
Yeah, so ads that are really thriving, it's the brandness awareness type ads that are really thriving. So even if you're selling your product, you can do it in a way that doesn't feel very intrusive to other types of authentic content in your news feed, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I roll like you do, Tina, with, I just, it's a lot about personal, getting people to get to know me, like kind of just putting myself out there,
For
like
sure.
allowing people in my world. We are limited in the mortgage field specifically. Tina, you have multiple different ventures with business, so you have a little bit different of a thing. But for me personally, it's mortgages. And they limit what I can put out there. So, but I don't think I'd have it any other way. So we talked earlier and you mentioned that content should feel like you're sharing it from like to your friends and that type of thing. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So following that train of thought, you want it to seem like you're a friend, right? You're a thought leader, but also you're not just some big poobah marketing to mass scale, right? It's all about personalized experiences now. So there's a couple tips on creating better ads.
A little bit of a difference.
Opposite of bad ads that we should go over for 2019. So first, you really need to understand your target audience moving forward. So that means each ad campaign should be focused on a target group based on interests, their job, relevant competitors, and previous interactions with your brand. So you can customize all of that through Facebook and Instagram, whatever way you're boosting or doing ads, things like that. So you need to be aware of that. Next, you need to make sure you define your goals and your metrics up front from the beginning before you even start. So it's important to be able to show that your social media has a positive bottom line impact on your business, because then why are you doing it, right?
Exactly.
ROI is something, return on investment is something that's really hard to track on social because it's so personal and it's based on you and no one else really, except for things like, your click-through rate and things like that. So being aware of what your goal is how you're going to be able to look at your ROI and decide whether or not that was worth it for you. The last thing is awareness campaigns. So, for example, you might focus on impressions, while conversion campaigns should put more value on click-through rates. So the after goal is all about investing in high-quality content, basically. But those are 3 little tips that you should be applying every time you're trying to do an ad.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, which we've definitely learned here from you, Kenady, there's always been competition, but even more brand competition now is coming in. So those ordinary posts are just not going to cut it. And, really you should be leaving those out and focusing on the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. At the bottom of it, great content's at the heart of everything, right? So if you don't have a compelling visual, which is essential for click-throughs and high conversion rates, then what are you doing, right? Like that's the whole point. So, not every brand will have the budget for really expensive equipment or a professional team, but even just learning some video basics or hiring a freelancer if it's in your budget to do so, then you can pick up some neat little things here and there, can really make a world of a difference. It's one of those things where repurposing ideas, again, for the organic content, that's the theme that we keep talking about here, right? Organic content, you want that content, is really going to make a difference moving forward. So creating high quality content ads takes, time and money. So test your ads and your concepts. The whole thing is try an organic post first, see how it performs. If it performs well, then maybe this should be something I build an ad around. So once you start working, you can realize, I can adapt this type of post. I can adapt this type of, engagement, or this way that I talk to people. They react better to this. So those are the type of things that are going to push your ads in the right direction. One more thing is embracing the new ad format. So Instagram story ads, for example, have been around since 2017. But this year, Instagram gave the brands the ability to use 3 consecutive photos or videos, which is really neat and something that we haven't been able to do in the past. And, when they release things like this, people don't really use them, but we should. It's new and people are like, ooh, new, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's performing well. So, Pinterest, on the other hand, which nobody really talks about Pinterest, but Pinterest is, rolled out a wide format video as well. So, that wide format video that you can then promote is really neat. Kind of side tangent, but did any of you see Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
So
I saw Wreck-It Ralph.
Did you?
Yeah.
So I saw it with a couple nieces and some family. And the funniest thing is there was a scene for Pinterest and it was just completely empty. And it was just so funny that a Pixar Disney movie
I think so, yeah.
decided to put some commentary in about Pinterest.
Yeah.
We are kind of scaling away from Pinterest, but I didn't expect that. And it was just so funny watching that happen. But yeah. I think a random tangent, but Pinterest is good. And in some ways, if you're a real estate agent, you can put neighborhood spotlights in there.
Sure.
Which then you can say, hey, if you want to know what's going on in this neighborhood, check out my Pinterest page. But people don't really say check out my Pinterest page anymore.
No.
But things like Facebook Ad Messenger, allows you to connect with Instant Messenger directly now as a business or a marketer. So that's really cool too, and not something we were able to do in the past either. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, Kenady, that what you're saying is that possibilities are basically endless for brands and businesses in these ad spaces. Yeah,
for sure. So that's exactly it. Moving, into number 4, one of the biggest social media trends we've seen in 2018 has been the launch of IGTV by Instagram. So that's, I don't know if you guys have heard much about it, but that's like the, vertical version of YouTube. That's kind of what they're going after. And that's when it first rolled out, everybody's like, oh no, they're going to try to take down YouTube, which is not really what it's turning into. But it's what they're calling social television now. And it's development for all social networks. And you're going to start seeing that hit other channels moving into the new year as well. So that's one of those things that type of raw video format and vertical video format is going to be a big deal. YouTube came out with, hey, we're cool, we're hip, and they made vertical video format like the next week instead of just horizontal. So we're going to see that grow further because I don't turn my phone all the time to look at something, right?
Exactly.
So that's what they're looking at, user interface and user, making it easy for the user.
Yeah.
So,
and I hope at this point everyone is starting to realize, as listening to the show, that these trends for 2019 are all connected in some way. So personalized experience, advertising, and virtual videos are all part of the overall way of social media and the social media industry where it's heading. So each platform is working hard to create experiences that users want to return every single day, right, Kenady?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that's why IGTV is so compelling. That content sits right at the top of the feed, and it's top of mind every time somebody logs in. So the type of content that is really important moving into 2019 and authentic is really going to be what we're seeing, make a huge trend moving forward. So the way I see it is savvy businesses or, agents, brokers, whoever it may be, is going to really have to pay attention to what the consumer is and make content for all 3 types of consumers. And those 3 types of consumers are, you have the first type of consumer who's the daily consumer, right? They're on every morning and night and maybe midday while they're eating lunch. And that consumer really likes stories and they're attracted by stories. They're at the top of the feed, right? So that's the first thing they click on, the first thing they see. Then you have your shoppers and scrollers. So they're going to scroll through the news feed for a while, and you need to make content for them as well because otherwise they're never going to see you, right? And then your final group is your power user. So that's people who are going to do things like IGTV, who are going to watch longer standing videos and content. So thinking about your target audiences and your personas moving forward is really, really important. And then matching your intentions to that said group and making sure you have content for all three groups. So that's really, really big moving into engagement, which is, really important moving into our fifth trend moving forward in 2019, which is, best practices.
So, Kenady, we were talking about best practices. So let's talk a little bit about what is omnichannel marketing.
Yeah, so omnichannel marketing is based on the Latin word, which is omnis, meaning all or every. So obviously that emphasizes the importance on reaching out and interacting with customers on all channels. So there's a quote floating around out there by John Bowden, VP of Time Warner Cable, and I think he explains it really well. His quote is, "Omnichannel is viewing the experience through the eyes of your customers, orchestrating the customer experience across all channels so that it's seamless and integrated. It anticipates our customers may start in one channel and move to another progressively at one endpoint, and your endpoint is your product or your service." So what that basically means is your buyer's journey is kind of a mystery, but that doesn't really mean that you can't see your touch points along the way. So basically, whether or not they, started on an email and then bought your product eventually or came to you eventually, right? You're still reaching that goal, which is kind of, a win for every business. So even if you posted to social and then they saw that post and then you posted it and you had an email campaign and they saw that email campaign and then eventually they contacted you. Even though that email won't get credit, you're still able to add a new customer to your list, which is I see as a win.
Yeah. So Kenady, as we're wrapping up our time here, we've got less than a minute to go.
Yeah.
Give your last shout out for anybody that's listening when it comes to all this amazing stuff that you shared with us today.
Sure. I mean, I think moving forward, all of these points are valid and important. Obviously, we'll see if they actually stick moving into the new year because obviously these are predictions. But I think that, moving forward, it's really just about that genuine engagement and making sure you're really caring about your clients and your customer base. So.
Love that. Kenady, thank you so much for coming in. Excited to have you back in.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for speaking at my Power Hour Lunch and Learn for real estate agents. Appreciate that as well. And excited to have you back in studio again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it.
And this is your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
Signing off for the day, our first show. But we'll be here next weekend, same time, right here at 1150 AM KKNW. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.